Welcome to Inside Boxing's Throwdown. My name is Steve Johnson, my co-host Aurelio Martinez. First of all, we want to go back and talk just briefly on last weekend's action. Myself, I want to go back a little further than that. I'm on a roll here. 2 weeks ago, I picked Robert the Ghost Guerrero to defeat Andre Berto, which he did. Last week, I came through again, and I picked, you tell everybody, who did I pick last week, since I'm on such a roll here.
Yeah, he picked Austin, no doubt, Trout.
Thank you.
Yeah, he tricked me.
Over Miguel Cotto. And this week, I'm going to make it 3 weekends in a row, because I am taking Manny Pacquiao to knock out. I know you didn't understand that.
Yeah.
He's going to stop Juan Marquez.
But we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that fight. It's our main topic because that's coming up this weekend. But going back to your picks, and I got to congratulate you because usually you were on a slide there for a minute. You were on a slide there, and you came back up. But I'm gonna give you your props. I think you picked 2 of them. I went the other way and lost both of them. You picked No Doubt Trout. I really didn't think he had the experience necessary. As our last show, I mentioned it. Needed to beat someone like Cotto because the experience levels was so lopsided. It was so lopsided. But I'll tell you one thing I really didn't realize, and you told me about the reach advantage and the height advantage that Austin Trout had over Miguel Cotto. And he just kind of slipped. I was so tied up into the experience, where I figured the experience level means so much in boxing that I just figured that wouldn't play a major part. Austin Trout did beautiful in making his height and his reach and using that to his advantage. As soon as this fight started, I basically knew I was in trouble because the size differential. If you just looked at him in the ring, Austin Trout was just so much bigger. Yeah. Taller, reach, bigger. He was just so much bigger. It actually, if you didn't know either fighter by name and you just saw these 2 fighters get into the ring, you would cry mid-match. Oh, yeah. He was that much bigger. So, my hat's off to Austin Trout. I think that win was a fantastic win for him. I think it's going to open the doors to bigger and better things.
The fight I would like to see, just because I think, once again, when we talk about people who are natural, Maravilla is actually, sitting there. Actually, he's more of a junior welterweight or a welterweight. Exactly. I mean, I'm sorry, a junior welterweight or middleweight. Okay. And for Trout to move from, even once again, catch weight, I know people don't like it, but if you use the catch weight of, say, 157.
And that's doable.
Oh, man, and I think that would be a great fight.
Well, even I think Maravilla, Sergio Martinez. Correct. There's no shame in his game. None. He'll come down to 54 to fight Trout. Yeah. And I'm saying that's the fight that we're most likely to have, rather than to see an Austin Trout fight Canelo. And unfortunately, the way the boxing business is, a Canelo Cotto fight is so huge. And I'm not talking from a fan's perspective. I'm not talking from our view or your view out there. I'm talking from a money-making fight. Austin Trout and Miguel Cotto pay-per-view numbers skyrocketed. They just blew up out of the ceiling. They were humongous. That's the drawing power of Miguel Cotto. He can fill a stadium.
Well, you mean Austin Trout
and Miguel Cotto.
Showtime numbers. It was not paper.
Well, the numbers, the view numbers were just out, and he filled the stadium. Correct. So he has a following that's just, well, it's second to none.
But really, but to be honest, do you really think that the Puerto Rican fight fans really want to see Canelo? And
they will. Puerto Rican fight fans are like Mexican fight fans, and that's where I was leading to, is why this would be such a huge fight as far as dollars are concerned. And promoters look at them dollars, and I'll tell you what, Oscar De La Hoya has been struggling to keep up with that Bob Arum.
Yes,
Bob Arum just slapped him every time because Oscar De La Hoya, Peter Shaper really don't know what to do when it comes to putting on these big fights. And this is an opportunity for them to put this big money-making fight for them in their pockets with Canelo versus Cotto, because now you're going to get the Puerto Rican people that are going to watch the fight regardless. They're going to watch the fight.
Right.
Okay. And then you've got the Mexican people, of course, that are going to watch the fight that follow Canelo. This can and probably will be a pay-per-view, and it'll be a big money maker for, unfortunately, Oscar De La Hoya, who will be the promoter.
Well, I can tell you this. I can tell you this from most of the Puerto Rican fans I know. Okay, if that fight were to happen, and we know that the way things will probably go is that Canelo would beat the dog do out of Miguel Cotto.
You would think so, yeah.
Okay, it might put money in Schaefer and Oscar's pocket now or then, but in the long run, it would hurt him though. It would hurt him because everyone knows at this point that Miguel Cotto, fantastic career, never ducked anybody. Hold on,
okay.
Never ducked anybody. Okay, you're gonna put, for the sake of you making some money, you're gonna put him in against your young cash cow just so he can beat him up. Nah, it's not going to go over well with fight fans as a whole.
Well, the fight fans, like I say, it's a money making thing, and it will be a money making thing. I'll watch it.
Well,
I'll watch it. I mean, just simply because it's one of them fights that you're going to watch.
Well,
so
I'm hoping that
what I'm saying is that if they do make that fight, and I'm almost guaranteeing that they're going to make that fight. Okay, if they do make that fight, I'm just hoping that at least they do some give and take. And they make that fight like at 151, 152, you know, catch weight. They don't need to put any bouts on the line. They just need to make the fight at a catch weight. And if they make it, actually, if they make it below the 154, they can still make it for Canelo's bout, because you just can't go over that weight limit. You can come under. So they need to make that. They need to make that weight at somewhere around 52 or something.
Well, I hope Aurelio's wrong. I'm hoping, now that you said that, and it makes perfect sense, but I'm hoping that Miguel Cotto's family, because he's a very family man.
Well, you can.
And I think that his family, and I'm hoping that his family will step in and make him see the light and say, this is done. We do not want to see you get beat up anymore. Look, I know
how can you turn down? How can you turn down $1 million payday?
Just a minute.
How can you turn down $1 million payday?
Hold on, just a minute. He's not hurting for money. And let me say this to you. I think most fight fans would agree with this. We saw, his family after that fight, concerned. Not more than concerned. His family was devastated. His family was devastated. And they know the time is up. Now it's just going to be on them to convince him, we don't want to see you get beat up anymore. And I would tell you this.
Well, I'm agreeing with you.
I would believe that Canelo would, he would take full advantage of the opportunity to beat him up. And I don't think that his Miguel Cotto's family wants to see that.
I agree with you in what you said.
I'm just saying it's too much money.
But I'm just saying it's hard to turn down that much money. You can't hit the lottery as it is, and to be offered this fight and say, okay, we're going to give you a guaranteed $1 million plus a percentage of the pay-per-view gate. He's likely to come out of that fight with $5 million. That's a very good retirement package.
Let's move on to what we got going on this week. First of all, here in Denver on Friday night, we've got Seasons Beatings 2 with Steve Mestis Airtight Boxing Show over at Red and Jerry's. In the main event, we have our boy, Manny Perez.
Yep.
Fighting a guy who, his name is James Wycack?
Willie?
No, James. But anyway, the opponent is really not important. What this fight is about, it's a homecoming for Manny. After, having his last couple of fights, fantastic, but most important, his last fight where he had in September, where he traveled over to Belfast, Northern Ireland, and he fought Paul McCloskey, lost a close decision, which some fans thought that he actually won, but more, like I said, more important, this is a homecoming for Manny.
And it's good for him to fight in front of his hometown.
Oh, without a doubt.
Kind of give his hometown, obviously, it's
a chance to see him.
It's not the big fight that he's been having such big fights. McCloskey, and then he's been having these big fights. Manny Perez is all about fighting big fights. The Brandon Rios fighting. And so something like this to give the crowd, his hometown, his family, the people here that support Manny, a chance to see him in the ring is a good thing. So.
Without a doubt. It's a fantastic thing. In the undercard, we have Carlos Ibarra, we have Chris Quintana. But most important is that we're going to have a fight between two female up-and-coming, what I like to refer to, I think you'll agree, stars in the sport, and that'll be Lisa Amaya, a girl you're very familiar with. We actually had Lisa on the show. Or we talked about Lisa earlier. Yeah. We talked about Lisa, but we have Lisa Amaya, and she's taking on a girl that a lot of people don't know in the pro game because she's making her pro debut. Mm-hmm. Okay, and that's what we call crisscross. You know, and we're gonna see what happens.
Oh, Christy Simmons.
Kirsty Simmons, yes, and crisscross, and so that's going to be a real good fight. Lisa is 2-0. Kirsty's making her pro debut. Kirsty has a tremendous amateur background, and when I say amateur background, it's just 2 years. But in 2 years, she's got national titles as an amateur, and decided not to stick around for the 2016 Olympics in Rio de Janeiro mainly because she's 28 years old, and it's time to turn pro. I think that was a good decision. Her trainer is Chris DeFeature Green, a local heavyweight boxer. Chris is very high on her. Lisa, you know her very well because her husband, Donald Camarena, is one of your former world champions, and this is going to be an exciting fight for us to watch.
Well, I'm going to tell you what, let me just start by saying I'm extremely proud of Donald Camarena, okay? He won the WBC Youth World title when he was young, and went on to win 5 other belts, Continental Americas, the Intercontinental, the CAM, the Mundo Hispano. He was just that type of fighter. He fought the Paulie Malignaggi's, he fought the Herman Ngojus, he fought the Timothy Bradleys.
Yep.
And if it wasn't for an unfortunate accident outside the ring in the streets, he'd still be fighting today. But he's actually turned into an extremely very good coach. I go and see him at his gym a lot, and I've seen him with Lisa. We went out and did some sparring with Lisa, so I had a chance, and he does a good job with his kids, and my hat's off to Donald. But going back to this fight, what makes it really interesting for the local people here in Denver that are going to go see that fight, the best fight on the card, I'm leaning to saying is going to be these girls, and usually the girls take a step under the men, the back seat to the men's, and these girls are going to give it all. And I'm going to tell you what, they both can fight, they both can box, and I'm going to tell you what, this is not your old style girl fight. This is going to be a boxing match. This is going to be a boxing fight. I mean, Lisa's 2-0. Crisscross, as you call her,
Kirsty,
is making her pro debut.
Correct.
So as far as evenly matched, I mean, the 2 fights Lisa has had have been basically startup fights. You know, coming in and opposition that to get her used to the pro rankings. Kirsty is bypassing that and just saying, I'm just going to step right into it because I have confidence in my abilities to box. Okay, we will know Friday night whether that was a good move for her or whether it was a bad move for her, because pro is pro,
right?
Amateur is amateur,
right?
Okay, so we're gonna wait to see that. Okay,
I think just touching briefly on what you said, I think you're 100% correct. We're very proud of Donald. You know, his boxing club, the TLC Boxing Club here in Denver, he's working with a few amateurs that have shown up and coming potential, and Donald is working on, you know, building up their potential, working on what their fine points are, and just honing those fine points. I agree, Donald's great. The A1 Boxing Club that in Aurora that Kirsty boxes out of, Glenn Goodson's boxing club. A lot of talent in Aurora. They don't talk about it much, but Kirsty is one that came through, and like I said, in 2012, you know, a lot of people aren't aware of this, but she was a semifinalist at the USA Nationals, and she was the 2012 National Golden Gloves champion. So this is going to be a good fight.
Exactly.
I agree, but don't be twisted.
Okay.
This fight Friday night
is
about...
They're telling us to move on because we got to get this
fight.
Pacquiao.
Well, hold on just a minute. This fight Friday night is all about Manny Perez. Looking forward to hanging out with he and Leanne and all the other boys from the House of Pain and for a tribute to their boy. So Friday night here in Denver, Seasons Beatings 2. Saturday night, the fight that a lot of people have been waiting for. I haven't been waiting for it for too much. I'm tired of hearing about it. But we have Manny Pacquiao taking on Juan Marquez for the 4th time. The word on the street is that this is supposed to be the final time. Bob Arum has already given little backroom inclinations that he's anticipating Pacquiao Marquez V. I think we had said this one of the shows before, though. Somebody Saturday night has to get knocked out.
But the only way we'll have a 5, is if Marquez knocks Pacquiao out or dominates him thoroughly, which probably won't happen. Okay, so I don't see that happening. So I don't see a number 5. But a lot of folks have emailed me and they've talked to me, and I've talked to them on the phone through a conversation, and they're always saying, why this fight? You know what I say? Why not? We got an exciting fight. Wouldn't you want to watch Israel Vasquez again in his war? These are wars. Israel Vasquez, when he gets in the ring, and who did he fight 3 times?
Rafael.
Yeah. But these are fights that are entertaining, and regardless of which way you went on the Pacquiao fights, you know, I've talked to people that are on the mentality saying Marquez won every one of them fights. I'm having some that say Pacquiao won all them fights. Then I'm having some that say, hey, it was 1-1 and maybe a tie or something. But regardless, we have had some very, very good about a contest between these 2 fighters. So, so why not? I mean, why? You know you're going to get an entertaining fight. As a matter of fact, people say, well, why are you going to watch this? Why? Because you know you're going to see a fight. You're not going to see something where you're going to be disappointed. You know what you're paying for, and by all means, you know what you're going to get.
Well, I disagree. I think the first fight, the intriguing part about the first fight is that Pacquiao, remember when he dropped Marquez the first few rounds, dropped him, and Marquez came back strong, made a strong finish. Okay, that warranted a second fight.
Yep.
I thought in the second fight, once again, people could dispute it, but I thought Pacquiao clearly won the fight. No, there's controversy on that. But a third, a fourth, a fifth, I don't think, you know what, Aurelio, we talked about it before. Every fighter every championship fighter has his cross to bear. And his cross to bear, and we talked about his opponent. For Manny Pacquiao, his cross to bear is Juan Marquez. Because, you know, if you think about it, logically, now let's just be logic, throw everything out of it. Okay. Everyone wants to see Manny Pacquiao fight Floyd Mayweather. Okay. Oh, just hold on. Everyone, that's what they say. They want to see Manny Pacquiao.
That's the word.
That's the word. Okay. We saw what Floyd Mayweather did to Juan Marquez. Now, we know that Floyd was overweight and the whole bit there was that controversy, but he destroyed him. So if that's the case, if Manny Pacquiao were to lose to Juan Marquez, that would be the only fight you could possibly want to see again, is him to fight Pacquiao a 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th time, because who would want to see, now that would be a money fight, as you like to always allude to, Floyd and Juan Marquez, but who would really want to see that? We know what he would do to him. He's already done it once.
Well, no, so obviously that fight can't be at 154.
Well,
okay, it just can't be, because then it's not a fight anymore.
No, at that time it was 147. It was, remember.
Well, so was the Marquez fight, but then Floyd came in at 52 or something like that and gave money. Okay,
but look, this fight is going to be
but I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to talk about Floyd.
Okay? No, that's what I'm saying. This fight is going to be a
until Floyd starts fighting and he gets it. We don't need to talk about on what ifs and maybes and all that stuff. Okay, so we can talk about that fight when and if that's on the table and it works. Okay?
I agree. I was just giving you a perspective. I was giving you a perspective. Okay, so that was just to counter your thing of, why not watch it a 5th, 6th, 7th times, because it's going to be a good fight.
If it's entertaining,
we're going to have entertaining fights. I'm not into that. You can be, but I don't want to see these guys fight anymore. Saturday night, I want to see one of them get knocked out. If they end up at the end of 12 rounds and they're hugging each other and shaking each other's hands,
let me just give you a scenario. Let me give you a scenario. Let's say they fight. You got an extremely good fight the way the first 3 were going, and let's say the 6th round, 7th round comes around. Marquez floors Pacquiao. They stop the fight. Marquez wins the fight. Don't you think Pacquiao should get another fight to redeem himself?
No.
Why not?
I really don't, because they're both on record leading up to this fight. Both of them saying, "This is it. I'm giving it all I got, and this is it. This is the end of it." But Bob Arum's the one talking about a fifth.
Yeah.
These two guys both said it's going to be over. So if somebody gets stopped, it's over. And I'm thinking Pacquiao's going to stop Marquez, so it's going to be over. But let me talk about this one quick because we're short on time. The undercard, we have a pretty good undercard. I wouldn't say it was great undercard, but of one fight of interest is we have Yorkis Gamboa. And that fight is going to be interesting mainly for one reason, is because it's going to be the coming out party for 50.
I agree.
50 Cent. 50 Cent is coming out.
Not so much for the fight, because you know I'm not a Yorkies fan.
Me neither.
I'm not a Gamboa
but Curtis
fan.
Jackson, and you know what, Aurelio? I'm going to say this for everyone to make sure you can hold my feet to the fire if you want. At first I was a little bit pessimistic. I like 50. I like 50. I like what 50's been saying. He's honest. I think he's forthcoming with everything that he says. If you stop and listen to what he says, you know, everything that he's talked about, when he talks about Gamboa, a little bit over the top because he's promoted him, where he says that, everybody's scared of Gamboa.
But that's what you hear from.
That's right. He's a promoter.
That's what you hear from promoters, and especially from a new promoter. Things change. People start changing. Oscar talked like that before when he first started.
No.
Yeah, he did. He was changing boxing. He was going to make boxing for the people. But things change, and it will change for 50. Okay? The minute you start pulling money out of your pocket and money ain't not coming in the way you think it's going to come in, then things change. Then you say, okay, well, maybe we got to give our fighter this and that. But honestly, let's wait and see. Let's wait and see if things prove to be prosperous for 50.
Well, I'm of this opinion, and remember this: we got the tape, and we'll play it back. I think 50's different than Oscar in that 50's already said, and this is where he came interesting to me. He said, "This isn't my source of income. Okay, this boxing isn't my source of income. I'm trying to help them," and that's a big difference though than these other guys.
Well, I agree.
50's got
I agree.
a whole thing, and I believe he's one of the guys that if things get ugly, it doesn't work out, you see that, the real boxing that we know, once he sees that, if it's too ugly for him, I think he's the kind of guy that'll walk away. Well, he'll say, you know what, I thought I could do something, I can't. Not like an Oscar where that's the only living he has. That's the only money he has.
I'm with you on that. I like 50. I like what he's saying. I like what he's doing. And I am one that's really hoping things go well for him. I'd like to see him stay in this game.
I would.
Okay?
Yeah.
So, with that, guys, come back and see us next week when we'll talk about the following fights coming up on next weekend. I know we got some very good ones. We got Arce coming up. And Nito. So we'll talk about that. And in the meantime...
Well, wait a minute. Before we go, as you all know, you gave me a hard time. My record was 2-15. Everybody know my record is 3-15 now.
He's 3-15 now.
It's going to be 4-15.
He's climbing up the ladder.
That's right. That's right.
So, okay, guys. Come back next week. And in the meantime,
hey,
keep your hands up.
Keep them up.
All right.